I would love to bring in the Black MAGAs, as well as all the people in, I don't know, Chicago and DC who think the feds and Trump is here for them. You don't qualify your way into being accepted by them. I keep telling y'all this, but stick around because there's a whole lot more where that came from. This is something that he loves to do because we know who he calls the low IQ individuals, right? Shout out to all of the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. I am Reese Waters, and this is Racist of the Week, where we explore the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, if you have any nominees, you can drop them in the comments. You can email me at admin@reesewaters.com. Today's nominee, well, it's been 3 days. It must be Donald Trump. Now, I've spoken at length right here on this platform about the attacks that Trump and his administration have levied at the Black community.
President Trump is ordering attorneys to conduct a formal review of the Smithsonian Institution based in Washington, D.C. Now, he said the museum's portrayal of U.S. history is, quote, too negative and too focused on, quote, how bad slavery was. This is the latest move in the president's crusade against so-called woke culture. And it comes after the White House pulled funding from several colleges and universities, alleging they fostered anti-Semitic climates and pushed unfair DEI initiatives.
As well as the many dangers and threats that he has sent at women.
Wilson says in his vision of a Christian society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastors Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households. And I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if there's your wife doesn't want to vote for the same person as you?
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
But here I was, all set to prepare a piece about how specifically Black women have been affected by the Trump administration. Hadn't even gotten around to recording it yet.
The economy now, where staggering numbers have been released surrounding Black women in the labor force. A new report shows more than 300,000 Black women have left the workforce in just the last several months. That's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Joining me now is gender economist Katika Roy to break this all down and why they're leaving. Katika, thank you so much for being with us. You recently wrote an article where you say that this isn't happening by accident. Why do you think it is happening?
This is happening because of cuts to public sector positions. So if you look at the federal labor force, Black women make up just over 12% of the federal labor force. It's about double their representation in the labor force overall. And when you have targeted cuts up to 50% in organizations such as the Department of Education and HHS, you're not just trimming the fat, you're actually cutting the economic backbone for Black women.
And no sooner am I ready than I see this. Trump said he's removing Fed Governor Lisa Cook, citing his administration's allegations of mortgage fraud. Cook, the first Black woman to serve on the Fed's board, said Trump has no authority to fire her, and her lawyer said that it would file a lawsuit challenging this illegal action. In the letter, Trump writes, pursuant to my authority under Article 2 of the Constitution of the United States and the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 as amended, you are hereby removed from your position on the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve effective immediately. And it is always pretty rich to hear from pursuant to my authority under the Constitution from Donald Trump. Under the Constitution. That's right. Unless it's a mandate. Unless we got a mandate, then that supersedes the Constitution. Huh? Gerrymandering? A mandate is kind of a one-time thing. How close was the election? I mean, all mandates are not created equal.
Somebody told a lie one day.
And that's before we get to the irony of Trump challenging somebody and their real estate valuations.
And the legal flaw here is that statute where Congress has said you can only fire based on cause. What's the legal definition of cause? It's not a tweet.
It's not a tweet
by a Trump partisan. Can you imagine if a tweet could be the basis for breaking the law? All you need to do is ask, you want to get rid of somebody, tweet. Cause has to be proof that the law has been broken or gross misconduct on the job. What do these baseless allegations even have to do with her job? So what you see is, as Ali notes, another red line that has been breached and broken in this push towards authoritarianism. But it's one that hits Americans in the pocketbook because when you weaken the Fed, what's the reason that they had that first Bank of the United States, the second Bank of the United States, that Supreme Court opinion, this statute? Because when you weaken the independence of the Fed, you weaken the American economy. That makes everything more expensive, more uncertain for Americans.
Weakens the dollar.
It weakens the dollar and it harms us all.
Now, you might be wondering, not you, but it's more of a turn of phrase. Well, I'm sure he's got some evidence to back that up. You know, it wouldn't be like, levying allegations at Obama and using exonerating evidence as your reasoning. Like, nobody would do anything crazy like that. Like, I'm sure he's got a good reason.
Wrong.
For weeks, Bill Pulte has been one of the loudest voices inside the Trump administration calling for Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to resign. Well, that's interesting. That's got nothing to do with Lisa Cook.
But wait, there's more.
All right, I'll keep reading. Now, Pulte, a wealthy businessman turned Federal Housing Finance Agency director, whose official remit seemingly has little connection to the Federal Reserve, has set in motion President Donald Trump's most aggressive action yet to alter the future makeup and independence of the Fed's Board of Governors, the consequential body that helps set interest rates. Trump said Monday he was dismissing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook because of allegations of mortgage fraud that Pulte sent to the Justice Department last week. Trump's decision to try and fire Cook, setting up a potential legal battle at the Supreme Court, marked the most consequential example yet of how Pulte has become an unlikely political attack dog against the Federal Reserve and many of Trump's perceived political enemies. Pulte has 3 million followers on X and a social media profile nearly as active as the president's. He's waged an aggressive, multifaceted campaign on social media and cable television against the Fed chair as Trump has fumed over Powell's decision not to lower interest rates. He's even spread false rumors on official agency letterhead that Powell's resignation would be imminent. So let me get this straight. We have a social influencer who has used his wealth to rise to a position where he can investigate specific targeted folks. And he's already on record of trying to influence Jerome Powell to change interest rates or resign. So I'm sure this just must be a coincidence, huh? Perhaps the most consequential action Pulte has taken is sending 3 criminal referrals for alleged mortgage fraud to the Justice Department, sparking investigations into Cook and 2 longtime Democratic foils of Trump, California Senator Adam Schiff and New York Attorney General Letitia James, who have both denied wrongdoing and called the moves politically motivated. No, wait. It gets worse. The Justice Department is now investigating James, Schiff, and Cook following Pulte's referrals, which accuse each of claiming multiple primary residence on their mortgages. The probes are being led by Ed Martin, a DOJ official who was named head of the department's weaponization working group after his confirmation to be U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia fizzled out. Y'all know Ed Martin. Yeah, y'all do know Ed Martin. So we have an influencer, wealthy influencer, who was able to rise to a position in the Trump administration. And it just so happens that he has landed on people that have publicly criticized Trump. And by the way, this is the administration that's all against lawfare. Yeah, we're not weaponizing the government. Yeah. So that's what's happening after you guys are already on board for trying to pressure the Fed to change interest rates and trying to remove Jerome Powell. But this is legitimate. This I'm supposed to see as legitimate. No, wait. It gets worse.
Boy, ain't no waiting, boy.
But while Pulte has sent referrals for Schiff, James, and Cook, he has not apparently taken any steps in response to a July report from the Associated Press that Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton claimed 3 primary residents in mortgage documents, which James's attorney claimed in a letter was evidence the investigations were politically motivated. Cook, by the way, is the first black woman appointed as the Fed governor with a term set to expire in 2038. So you mean to tell me, is the Ken Paxton, is that just sitting on your desk? Is that what it is? Is it under the papers on Pam Bondi's desk? Is that what it is? I tell you, that must be a huge desk right there. That must be a huge, but this is supposed to be legitimate. Like, irregardless of your prior issues with the Fed and the fact that this is not something that you have moved on. And by all means, we're going to trust Ed Martin to be fair and impartial. Gotcha. I'm telling you, MAGA, there are no levels to how stupid they are expecting you to be to let all of this fly. There really are no levels. But this is why I'm here. Cause I had just planned to do this video about, black women and how they've been affected by a Trump administration. And then I see what happens with Lisa Cook. And I'm like, why does this feel so familiar to me? Well, here we go. And this, by the way, is one of the tweets that X served up in reporting the news. Lawfare entitled DEI hire is refusing to accept her termination. That's it. Entitled DEI hire. Now, I will do the research that none of you did, certainly not to qualify to be promoted by X, right? Cook was appointed to the Fed's board by President Joe Biden in 2022. When she took office, became the first black woman to serve as a Fed governor in the institution's over century-long history. She initially filled an unexpired term and was reappointed the following year. Cook has taught economics and international relations at Michigan State University and was previously also on the faculty of Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government. She's received degrees from Oxford University, Spelman College, and the University of California, Berkeley. Some of her most well-known research has focused on the impact of racial violence on African-American innovation and consequently wider economic growth. Also, prior to her appointment to the Fed, Cook served as a senior economist on the Council of Economic Advisors under Barack Obama, as well as senior advisor on finance and development in the Treasury Department's Office of International Affairs from 2000 to 2001 under Presidents Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. But just to really be succinct and summarizing all of that, entitled DEI hire. Yeah, that's an entitled DEI hire. And by the way, this is the part where I would love to bring in the Black MAGAs. I would love to bring in the Black MAGAs, as well as all the people in, I don't know, Chicago and DC who think the Feds and Trump is here for them. You don't qualify your way into being accepted by them. I keep telling y'all this, but stick around because there's a whole lot more where that came from. This is something that he loves to do because we know who he calls the low IQ individuals, right?
AOC, look, I think she's very nice, but she's very low IQ. and we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right. Now it's time for them to take a test. You know, I've never told you any of this, and I wanted to wait till the day because I don't want to have her. She's a low IQ individual. I don't want to have her say, you know, I had an idea last night while I was sleeping, turning, tossing, sweating. Because I sleep, I turn and I toss and I sweat and I sleep like no.
Well, let's take a look at Kamala Harris. We got a Juris Doctorate from University of Cal Law. We got a BA from Howard University. That was before becoming the DA of San Francisco, Attorney General of California, a senator from California, and then our vice president. That was Kamala Harris. Now, as far as Jasmine Crockett is concerned, somebody he loves to continue to call low IQ, this was my favorite. The one where they compared her qualifications to be in Congress versus, I don't know, some of her compatriots, some of her colleagues, you know, the kinds of people that also call her a DEI hire.
And here we are back at Elon Musk's AI, and I typed in, can you compare the credentials of Congresswomen Jasmine Crockett, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert before they entered Congress? Can you rank them 1 through 3 and also give them a score between 0 and 100, with 0 being the least qualified candidate and 100 being the most qualified? And as you can see, there is my prompt, and here is the reply. And as you see here in Jasmine Crockett's education section, we can see that she has a BA in Business Administration from Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee, and a Juris Doctor from the University of Houston Law Center. Then she was a public defender, a civil rights and criminal defense attorney, and was a member of the Texas House of Representatives. And as you can see, if we look at the same credentials under Marjorie Taylor Greene, under education, we can see that she has a bachelor's degree from the University of Georgia, but no higher degree than that. And under professional experience, she was a business owner of a construction company with her husband, but she didn't have any prior elected office experience. And finally, if we look at those same credentials under Lauren Boebert, we can see that she had no college degree, but did get her GED just before she ran for Congress. And in professional experience, she was a business owner of a bar called Shooter's Grill in Rifle, Colorado. But again, she had no prior elected office experience before running for Congress. And as you can see here, under final ranking and overall scores, it weighed education at 25%, professional experience at 35%, life experience at 20%, and relevance to congressional duties at 20%. And it gave Jasmine Crockett an overall score of 90 out of 100, then gave Marjorie Taylor Greene a score of 45 out of 100. And finally, Lauren Boebert got an overall score of 35 out of 100, which means if you added up these two, 45 and 35, you'd get 80 out of 100, which is still below Jasmine Crockett's score by herself.
How Trump targets America's most educated women. Donald Trump's public record reveals a consistent pattern. When black women hold power and challenge him, he responds with insult, delegitimization, or the blunt force of state power. This isn't just rhetorical bluster. It's a calculated playbook, one that corrodes civic norms, undermines the independence of democratic institutions, and too often puts specific black women directly in the crosshairs of political retribution. Trump's emotional IQ is in question, but his social skills are not becoming of a commander-in-chief, and the examples are not hard to find. I just gave you 3 already. Y'all want more? Start with New York Attorney General Letitia James. She successfully prosecuted a landmark civil fraud case against Trump, resulting in hundreds of millions of dollars in penalties. In response, Trump has repeatedly derided her as racist and now faces federal subpoenas aimed at her office, moves her legal team as described as naked political retaliation. Even if courts ultimately block these efforts, the message is unmistakable. Punish the black woman who beat him in court. That's not leadership. It's intimidation by process. It's the use of law enforcement power not to serve justice, but to settle personal and political grudges. In Georgia, Trump's approach was no different. Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis, who brought a sweeping racketeering indictment against him and his allies, became the target of baseless, salacious rumors. Trump amplified claims unsupported by credible evidence that Willis had, according to CNN, an affair with a gang member. Fact checkers debunked these allegations, but the damage was done. Politico reports that federal judge Tanya Chutkan, presiding over one of Trump's criminal cases, has been subject to similar treatment. Trump's online and public statements attacking her impartiality and personal integrity were so inflammatory that a federal court issued a narrowly tailored gag order to prevent further endangerment of the court staff. Zoom out to the past decade and the pattern becomes even more entrenched. In 2018, he called out Rep. Maxine Waters, an extraordinarily low IQ person. There goes the low IQ again. You know what I mean? I don't know if he knows what IQ means. That's what maybe he means SPH. Yeah, that's his way of just saying that you're melanated. Because we know that's what he means. So that's, you know. Hey, pretty soon they take enough of these books. That's what they gonna put in the actual dictionary. He's repeatedly insulted black women journalists. Ah, yes, that's right. I remember seeing all of those clips.
Why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network.
Yeah, I know that. I've seen those clips. Yeah, that's that. Who let you in? How dare you challenge me? Does she have papers? Kind of energy. Yeah, I know that. It's the kind of energy that they were shooting at Harvard's Claudine Gay, you know, under the guise of anti-Semitism. When they let the cat out of the bag and revealed that it was anti-DEI the entire time. Just because you were brown. That's really why we were here. We probably should have waited till we were done to have admitted that, but yet here we are. And by the way, Black MAGA, I'm glad you are still here for this. I would also love the women to come, the women for Trump, the female conservatives, come take a look at this too, because Elise Stefanik was spearheading that. And how'd that work out? Huh? I think they still booing in New York. And it ain't the Yankees.
Thank you, Mark, for that kind introduction.
Carla Hayden was nearing the end of her 10-year term as Librarian of Congress. Appointed by President Barack Obama, Hayden was the 14th Librarian of Congress since 1802. She was a history maker.
So help me God.
The first woman and first black person to hold the job.
Thank you.
Then, on May 8th, Hayden received an email. On behalf of President Donald J. Trump, her position was terminated, effective immediately.
I was never notified beforehand and after.
No one's reached out to you from the White House?
No one has talked to me directly at all from the White House.
No one's given you a phone call from the administration?
No. I've received no communication directly except for that one email.
Now, it's at this point that I have to point out that literally the same day as I am preparing to record this video, I am seeing the same clip of a black woman blasted all over the news from Chicago as evidence, apparently, that Chicago residents are openly inviting Trump into their jurisdiction, as if needing to blast the same clip isn't precisely evidence of the opposite. But let's just leave common sense aside because we're dealing with MAGAs right now. So I would definitely love all of them to come and watch all of this, because while he's going in to these various jurisdictions, which ones has he chosen to target? The pattern is clear. Trump attacks cities governed by black women. Since Donald Trump started his second White House term, there's been one common denominator of the cities being attacked for lack of sharing common ground. They're all led by black women. This from 19th News. Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., New York City, and more have felt the wrath of Trump's anti-democratic, anti-diversity, anti-unity tactics under the leadership of strong black women trying to lead the cities they love to grow. Shortly after his inauguration, the president launched a massive anti-immigration campaign targeting the City of Angels first. Mayor Karen Bass stood firm on the front lines, coming face to face with federal agents seen harassing legal and illegal immigrants in addition to peaceful protesters. He slowly made his way to the Midwest and East Coast, continuously battling New York Attorney General Letitia James, who hasn't let go of her responsibility to hold the president accountable for his past alleged crimes. Most recently, he caused havoc in his own backyard of Washington, D.C., led by Mayor Muriel Bowser, deploying troops of the National Guard and federal agents to take over the Metropolitan Police Department to tackle the alleged growing crime in Chocolate City. And by the way, I do want to give a shout out to Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, because I remember that clip.
Can't impact the nation's second largest city, the largest city in the state of California, and the state of California has the fourth largest economy in the world. When you do that through stunts like have taken place here over the last month, you hurt the economy of our city, our state, and indirectly our nation. So with that, I want to just reiterate, this is a victory, and this is a victory that is the result of our city standing strong and standing united and saying this was not necessary. I hope that the administration heard that, and that's why they made this decision.
Oh, why the Reggie White jersey? Oh, yeah. No, because it was, because I'm talking about black women, so I thought it said white because that's what he would accept, and also because it was green. That's why I chose, because it's a 92. Because we're talking about Club 92%. And looking at why exactly black women get under his skin so much, why he has such a problem with black women. Let's start with the Club 92%, because these were the people least fooled by the nonsense, the ones least likely to be convinced to trust a man that's been in and out of court for decades. Call me crazy, but those were the ones that kind of saw through all of it. Hey, I only need one video that says I grab them by the, I only need one. So yeah, start with that. But then secondly, who better to exemplify the kind of toughness and the kind of persistence that he has never shown when it comes to his persecution complex, when it comes to making something out of nothing, when it comes to dealing with societal perceptions and whatnot. He describes himself in many ways as overcoming the exact obstacles that we know black women deal with in society. The kind of stuff that he could never. I think they are the living, breathing personification of his own weakness and failure. And in that respect, I could certainly understand the frustration. I could certainly, if you know what I mean, I could certainly understand the frustration. However, in this particular case, it is sad, it is small, it is shameless, and it is immoral. And dare I say, it's also illegal. Well, at least it should be if we had a operable judicial branch. That wasn't letting the Pulte's and the Ed Martins of the world settle personal scores while the Ken Paxton case just sits on the desk. It ain't moved since I started this video. I can tell you that right now. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and to all of you guys that have reached out to me at admin@reesewaters.com. I'm constantly getting feedback like this from Aaron that says, "Hey Reese, I love your show and have just subscribed. I just have one question for you, and please don't think I'm coming for you. And full disclosure, I did take a gummy." Well, where this about to go? I think I just took a gummy is the new version of I don't mean no offense. Question, On the Vivek Ramaswamy anti-black show, why is your mustache sitting so far from your lip?
Damn!
This is egregious work. This is nasty, egregious work.
I take offense. I think I take offense. I think that must have been the gummy. That must have been. Now, yeah, let me just keep reading. How is it that I can help the channel? Well, one way you can help the channel is what you've already done, subscribing to the channel. Another way is by joining as a member. There are links in the description box to all of the videos to membership. You'll also find the links to my Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, the link to merchandise, which is over at reesewaters.com. You could also join the Patreon at patreon.com/reesewaters, where you can get access to the newsletter. But one small but very significant way that you can help the channel is just by liking the video. Liking the video helps boost it in YouTube's algorithm and helps make sure more people get this information and these laughs. Well, hopefully y'all be laughing. I'll be laughing when I be recording the videos. I don't know, but all the other people in here just be quiet. But I think that's probably out of respect more than anything.
You don't find that suspicious?
Another way you can help the channel is by coming to the premieres. You know, I premiere all of my videos and I'm there in the chat along with the mod squad. So come help and enjoy all this goodness with everybody else. Kick your feet up, take your shoes off. Actually, don't do that. Don't do that. No, because I be premiering my videos early in the day and it'd be too early for corn chips.
Brother,
Keep your shoes on, but come bring your positive attitude and spirit and join with the rest of the class. And make sure you turn on your notifications so you know exactly when those premieres go down. But I would like to thank you all for your support up to this point.